Hello, I'm Christian Siapko, and you're watching an experimental piano lesson. The purpose of this video is to teach you how to make music at a piano. Now I say make music because we're not going to be playing off of somebody else's music. We're not going to be reading off sheet music, and we're not going to be figuring out songs that we've heard. Though we will do that later. I mean, I'm going to teach you the rules to just sit and play, whatever you want. For the sake of being thorough, I do need to start at the very beginning, so some of this may be review for some of you, but I do encourage you to listen all the way through just to make sure you didn't miss anything. I will, however, mark the sections in the description if you really want to skip ahead. Let's get started. Now to start off, we need to know where we are on the keyboard. So you'll notice that the black notes are grouped in sets of 2 and 3, and it repeats all the way up and down the keyboard. Use this to find your place. Now you probably already know the names of the notes are the letters of the alphabet from A to G. Now A starts here, though the main note that we're going to deal with today is C. C is the easiest key to play on the piano because it doesn't use any black notes. The scale runs from C to C, and it's all on the white. That is the key of C. Now you can continue going all the way up and down the piano and it just continues in different octaves. This is a major key. A minor key will sound something like this. It sounds distinctly different, and there are other scales as well, but these are the main two that we'll be dealing with. Now, a major key is characterized by a certain pattern of skips and steps. You can see here in the major key of C, we'll skip a note, then we'll step just one over, skip a note, skip, and then step. Now, this will work in any key, so you can start on any note you want. We'll start here on A flat. We'll skip a note, we'll skip a note, and we'll step, we'll skip, skip, and then we'll step. And there. That's another key, and it works for all of them. Yeah, so, but I know this gets a little confusing and a little daunting. That means that there is one key for every note here on the keyboard, but for now we'll just work with the key of C. The only times you would really be using the other keys is when you have other instrumentation, or if someone's singing, you want to choose a key that they can sing well in. But since it's just us, let's just play in C for now. Now, the note C here is the home tone. This is kind of your anchor point for this scale. We're going to relate all of the other chords and notes in this scale to this note. Oftentimes, songs will end on the home tone. So if we take a simple song like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, we end it here. Other songs will do that too. Again, we ended on C. This note being the home tone is often the resolve of the song. Not all music ends that way, but just to keep in mind, this is where you want to orient yourself whenever you're playing a song. Now, chords are a bit like keys. They have several different forms, and it's all based on those skips and steps that we discussed earlier. The most basic form of a chord is a triad. Now, a triad is made up of a note, a note, a note, with skips in between. Triad meaning 3. Now, a major triad has 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps, 1, 2, 3 half steps. This works fine for some of the chords in this key, but obviously some of these chords I just played have black notes in them, and that's outside of the key signature. That's when we play in the key of C, we only want to use the white notes most of the time. So in this case, we have to use some minor chords as well. Just like scales, each triad has its home tone, which is normally the bottommost of the 3. In this case, this is the C chord, because the bottommost note is C. And you have your your 3 with your little skips in between. In the key of C, if I were to move this triad up, this is now the chord D. However, it isn't a major chord. This is a major chord. In the key of C, the D chord is minor. This is the 3rd chord. I always count up the chords by numbers. So this is the 1 chord, the 2 chord, the 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, running out of room. 7, which we don't really use very often. It's a diminished chord. That's not a minor or a major. It's a very strange chord, and we won't bother with it for the moment. And then the 8th, which is the same. These are all the same chord, the chord C. So we have major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. Now, this is kind of, it's a little more information than you need. It's not really important right now. For the moment, focus on the 3 major chords here. The 3 major chords are the 1 chord, which is C, C, D, E, F, the 4 chord, and G, the 5 chord. And back to C. Now with this, most songs are based around these 3 chords, or slight modifications made to these chords. So we have C, now obviously we need more than just this to make it an interesting song. Songs often have melody, so we use chords generally as accompaniment to our melody. So if I wanted to play a melody like, let's start on our home tone. Ending again on our home tone. I mean, you can make up whatever you want. You can mix and match these chords any way you like. Now if you notice here in my right hand, I'm not actually using the normal triad form, or the first inversion. You can actually move each of these notes up to fit whatever inversion you like. So if I take this note here, the C, and move it up here, this is the same chord, it's just formed a little bit differently with different voicings. And I can take this as well, the E, and I can move it up top. And now I have the same chord again. So if I just play the C bass, these are all the same chord. This helps when I'm switching chords. I don't have to jump, if you see here. If I want to go up to the F, I have to go all the way up here. In this case, I can just say, well, you know what? We're going to take this top note of F, and we're going to bring it down to the bottom, like this, same chord, and it's closer. It sounds better, and it's easier to get to. Now let's go over what we just learned. Now, when you want to play a song, you got to pick a scale to use. Whether it's a major scale, a minor scale, or some other scale, what we learned today was the major scale that was made up of those specific skips and steps. Each scale has their own set of skips and steps, but they can be applied to any home tone depending on what key you want to play in. In this case, we just played in the key of C, but you could apply it to any other key that you like. We learned the basic forms of chords, which are triads. They also come in major, minor, and other forms, and they also have specific sets of skips and steps, and they're designated by their home tone. And with chords, we also have different inversions we can use. Now, I really want you guys to remember that when you're playing on the piano, each note has a parallel that can be used somewhere else. You're not always limited to one area. If I want to play a song in the middle, I can always move it down if I want for a different sound. Or I can move it way up high. I'm playing the same thing each time, and it changes the sound depending on where I am. So this is the same, works with inversions. Don't worry about specifically which octave of that note you're hitting, just make sure you're always hitting those notes. The C main chord is made up of C, E, and G, and you're allowed to hit any C, E, or G on this keyboard. Any of those. Thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I do intend on making some more videos. I know the content was a little bit dense and I went really fast. I think in the future I'll split up each topic into its own video so that I can go into more detail and not have to fire so much information at you so quickly.